In celebration of the release of the Prehistoric Planet Ice Age trailer, not the actual series, but just the trailer, I thought it'd be fun to look at some of the Ice Age mammals that are in the Tetsu Towers collection. So welcome to the first in, well, actually it's the second following the Glyptodon video we did. Welcome to the second of the Ice Age mammals TikTok videos, and today we're going to look at woolly mammoths. Now, the woolly mammoth is such a famous and iconic animal. There's a huge number of toys, figures, models of the woolly mammoth, and I'm going to look at a number of them. I haven't pulled out all the pieces I've got in the collection, and I'm going to randomly start here, and I'm going to talk about several of the larger pieces that are in the assortment that I've got in front of me now. And I'm going to start with this famous Invicta woolly mammoth, released in 1975. I've had reason to mention Invicta prehistoric animals a couple of times already. At some point, I'm going to have to make a special video about the entire Invicta range. There are many variants, many rare pieces, all of which I own. This woolly mammoth isn't bad. It was originally released in 1975 in this monochrome variant, unusually for the Invicta figures, actually as a two-part mold, so the tusks are made of a different kind of plastic and were added later. But in the early 90s, Invicta released the flexi painted versions of its figures, largely due to competition from Safari's Carnegie collection. I've mentioned that fact before. And this is their painted version of the woolly mammoth. Now, in the 1990s, it was thought for a while that woolly mammoths weren't dark chocolate brown or dark brown. It was thought instead that they might have been kind of like tawny like this, and that's the color this one was given. This actually might be accurate. It might be more accurate than the really dark kind of vision that was also popular for a time. But there you go, there's two woolly mammoths made by Invicta. Moving now to a safari figure. This one was released in 2004. I don't know what specific range it's part of, and it's not bad. It's kind of out of scale relative to most other large woolly mammoth figures, and it does accurately show the sloping back characteristic of this species. The back slopes from the shoulders down to the hips, but it kind of doesn't look right. It looks too short in the body. This makes it look a bit more like a North American imperial mammoth, and its tusks technically aren't big enough. Nevertheless, it's still quite a nice figure. Now, at the other end of the scale, in terms of like radically odd proportions, here's a really kind of old, squat, very conservative, old school style woolly mammoth. This one was released by Schleich in 2002. It really looks like it should come from decades beforehand. This kind of like hanging, heavy-headed, kind of real shaggy, real chunky look is something that you might associate with, say, the paintings of Charles Knight from the late 1800s. And I think it might be based on old paintings. A real solid figure with a really three-dimensionally, strongly textured, shaggy look to its pelt. It's quite odd. It has this real old school feel. Then here's another quite weird mammoth. This was produced by Papo and released in 2000, and it's also odd, partly because it just doesn't look like a woolly mammoth. I'm not quite sure why. I think because the head isn't high enough and the back doesn't slope enough, and the body looks too long. These things, if you ignore the tusks, they make it look more kind of like mastodon-esque rather than mammoth-esque, but it's got really nice texturing. The fact that the tusks are brown rather than white is also quite a weird feature. Not sure what happened there, but there you go, a Papo 2000 figure. And finally, for now, this really nice figure. It's again by Safari, and this is the woolly mammoth that's released as part of the Carnegie collection in 2002, I think. It's got its details printed on one of its back legs, always really hard to find. And right now I can't see them. How weird. I'm pretty sure, oh no, it's foreleg. Yeah, 2002, a Carnegie collection safari woolly mammoth. Now again, this is kind of like odd in proportion. This has a really short body. Again, its proportions sort of make it look a bit more like a North American Columbian mammoth, and it's really dark. So there was a time when woolly mammoths were thought to be really, really dark brown, possibly even black. The position of the tusks isn't quite accurate. The tusks in woolly mammoths actually project down and outwards before sweeping in massively upwards and inwards, and just having them in this kind of like single curve is not technically accurate, but maybe that was a compromise that needed to be made in order for it to like be a handleable toy. It's a pretty cool figure. So there's lots of other woolly mammoths, and I'm going to look at a couple of others in following videos. I'm going to start next with the little juveniles that hopefully you can see down the front here. But I'll stop there. Thanks for watching, and do have a look at the other videos that we've released as part of the Tetsu Towers collection.